Yeah, what's going on, family? Excuse me, y'all. It's your man B Miles coming to the live once again with another live stream. And yes, definitely tonight it's definitely going to be another great live stream. I'm definitely do apologize. We definitely wanted to start it around like 9 o'clock tonight. There we go. We have there he is. We have our good brother right here tonight that I really wanted to come on last night, but he had to take care of business. We definitely do apologize for that, but I'm definitely glad and honored and grateful to have this young brother back up on here tonight. This is one of the young brothers who I admire a lot, who I talk on a daily basis outside of YouTube, and we share information, we build a lot of stuff like that. And I really got to say, like, to see this young brother work and to see the wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding that these young brothers have, at his age, that I'm just really amazed and blown away. So without further ado, I definitely want to say, I want to introduce this young brother, and he's going to bring the knowledge tonight. And I'm going to fall back and listen. Here we are. You got the floor, young brother, brother Noble Isaiah L.
All right, peace and love. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right. All right. Definitely want to say peace and love to everyone that's watching and will be watching. Just wanted to bring you some, short updates. Uh, don't want to be long-winded, but definitely want to share some things to give you some insight and just to keep you abreast of what's going on. Peace and love, Mother Whitney. Um, and so basically, I know that everybody experienced the shutdown yesterday with uh, Facebook, Instagram, and different social platforms. And that was a clear example of what you see taking place on some people uh, claiming to be the board members of Facebook and that whole platform um, under the CEO and under Mark Zuckerberg. This is an attempt to cover and hide a lot of the actions that they've been doing against not just our people, but a lot of people as far as the children is concerned. A lot of things outside of just trafficking, but also the advertising to the children. A lot of the advertising um, is causing a lot of issues as far as the market and as far as uh, causing teens and preteens to go in a certain direction and to experience a lot of depression and different different experiences that they're having. So Facebook, they have in their database, in their internal database, they mark a lot of the uh, accounts as unique value proposition accounts. And basically, what this is a way to target those preteens and teens to drive up the accounts for the Facebook platform. And what this does is help the big time or big tech companies to market and advertise to those age groups and demographics. And it causes a problem on a whole bunch of levels because a lot of these accounts, a lot of the parents aren't even aware that their children are using Facebook, and it actually encourages them or induce them to create secret accounts. And this is also where you see a lot of people, a lot of children during these different demographics from the teens to preteens. They're being targeted not just with the trafficking, but also with um, you know different hate, different um, various terms that they have it all. Is they call it problematic accounts, and basically this is telling us that a lot of our children, or not just our children, but a lot of the children are dealing with depression, um, and a lot of the diagnoses that they give them. And this is bad because a lot of them have actually admitted and said, and these are the children's coming from their own miles from surveys and filling out different forms that they do not like to be on Facebook. They don't want to be on these accounts um, because they don't like to be. They feel themselves being drawn into these accounts, and they feel like they have to stay on a platform, or less they'll be chastised or left out. Um, and this is causing huge problems. Okay, a lot of people, a lot of the children are um, thinking about committing or causing themselves to go to sleep permanently, and this is where a lot of big tech is pushing these products to these teens, and that's a problem. Um, Facebook failed, or I should say, the CEOs for Facebook failed to disclose this information to when they were standing before trial, and they actually have in their clause is in section 230. If you guys can look that up, it's in section 230, and I try to get some of the files from the hearing. And when Zuckerberg was going through everything, um, section 230 of the Facebook files, they actually say in the files that they have a right to mislead the courts, and that's due to them having immunity, because when they tell you to click accept the terms and agreements of the accounts, and even through the apps and through Messenger, uh, you waive your rights, okay, your inalienable birthrights, to have a say against what they're doing with your information. And what they're doing with the information is selling it to big tech companies to further promote advertising to you, and to get you to purchase more products. And that's why they collect your data and information and sell it, which is illegal. But they actually shield themselves and hide themselves through the terms and agreement, because we don't read the long terms and agreement. And this is actually where the parents need to step up and start to be more active, especially from what's happening and what's about to be revealed. Um, they also, Facebook, the platform, they're actually making a lot of fiat Federal Reserve notes off of our people when we post videos, or when we do little dances or sing or little comedy skits and things like that. They are profiting from that's basically free marketing for them. And so what that does is help them to be able to push their ads and push their marketing agenda from the big tech. And that's a problem, because once again, we're giving them free labor, which is actually again, that's on our part. So that's something that's actually going to be coming out. They're trying to crack down on that right now. And they actually have in this section 230 of the Facebook files that you cannot sue um, Facebook. Okay. And that's an issue as well, because when it comes to subpoenaing them into court or tribunal to get remedy, um, again, you're saying we're saying that we're supposed to be private, but Facebook is a public platform, and is owned by a board basically. And so right now, Mark Andrew Zuckerberg is sailing. He's out on a trip while all of this is going down. So yesterday was an attempt to really hide and cover up a lot of stuff that's taking place with these fake accounts, and them encouraging people, or the tweens as they call it, to get um, second and third accounts. Okay, they generate funds by having accounts open. So the more accounts they have, the more fiat they're able to generate. And when they have more accounts open, they have the AI, or artificial intelligence, basically tracking the algorithm, and they really don't have any crackdown or way to crack down on this based off the way they have it set up, because it's based off a metric driven system. And so they are really pushing for the metrics, how many accounts that they have, how many users, how many, what's the demographics. And this is actually generating them funds. The more accounts, the merrier. That's how they see it. But again, this is actually causing a huge problem, and you have whistleblowers coming out speaking about this. I don't think that this is something. Uh, let's look at it in layers. On one level, yes, it's good that they are actually cracking down and they're actually looking into what's taking place with a lot of uh, these Facebook accounts and agreement user agreements. But and we know about the traffic and we know about all these different things taking place. But on another level, it's a way for them to cover and hide what they did yesterday, because there's other stuff that's going on that's just as equally important that needs to be brought out. So Zuckerberg, he lost 7 billion notes, Federal Reserve notes yesterday for shutting down for a couple hours. And if you were in his shoes, you would think, well, it would be a fine hit because is either you take the hit or go to jail. So that's what you see yesterday. But we actually said that this will happen 2 weeks ago because of Jupiter and Saturn and Aquarius retrograde dealing with technology. Um, and Bimals be talking about this is going to happen for a while anyway. So um, this was the remnants of that taking place. And um, this whole big tech situation was allowed to happen is because people like us are not actually stepping up and taking our place, and that's what we're actually being called to. We're being called to step up in this age now. um, at the 2012 mark, or Axis year, 2012 was the last known calculation that they could be able to predict what's going to happen in this age. So uh, they can't go with the technology that they're using. They can't go past 2012. This is why they're using um, different agendas, like Agenda 2030, which is the Sustainable Development Plan, but they fast forwarded up to 2021. Now, we know that in this age, Pluto is going to be destroying a lot of things on the land and shutting down a lot of nations and governments as the youth try to, or the new age or era, uh, they try to rebuild in a different way and help get things on track. But we know we have people in place to stop that, and people like uh, Joe Biden and the administration that's cover for those behind him. They actually are trying to push this bipartisan deal, and he's already losing support, and they're starting to harass those people who are supposed to be on his side, which they claim to be Democrats, but they're starting to see, yeah, you could say that, but they're just not agreeing with them. And he only needs, 2 votes for this bill in Michigan, but he won't get it because they're harassing them and following them into the bathroom stalls and saying that it's a part of the process. You have them recording senators, alleged senators, and harassing them in the name of signing this bill that's supposed to be so great for everybody. But if it's so great, why do you got to force it on people? So that's something to be concerned about. That's huge. And you definitely want to make sure that uh, through this entire agenda to shut down um, not just America, um, on this North American continent, the entire world, you see nations and the people actually stepping up and trying to do something to fight back. Um, but we've been telling people to stock up and things like that. Uh, well, the international shipping, well, this is an international platform. They actually are being told to not work, okay, on purpose. So this is affecting the international global shipping. And so, what does this mean for America? Uh, they are trying. They are definitely orchestrating this shutdown uh, on all levels. Okay, so it's going to definitely affect the economy. Um, even more. We already been seeing that the inflation has been taking place and rising, and it will continue to rise until 2023. This is what Deutsche Bank predicts based off of the market, especially with the housing. But then you also see, that's right, food prices are going up, and you also see that the Earth's natural resources is actually, uh, well, at least for China and Europe, they have to shut down their factories because, or some of their factories, because of the depletion of the energy resources and the oil, gas, natural gases, and uh, coal. Okay, so that's going to definitely affect the market. You have a lot of ships at the ports right now, and they're not being allowed to unload a lot of the shipment, and they're being told to go home because they have not got adjusted. And so this is going to affect the entire, let's say, North America, but also the entire world, Europe and Australia as well. And then you have China. Um, China, they're talking about a potential World War III. You can say that with Taiwan, because they're doing some major breaches as far as their airlines or their air laws, quote unquote. And this goes back to jurisdiction. You have your many levels of jurisdiction, um, persona, just being in your proper person, so knowing who you are. Um, and then you have subject matter jurisdiction. We're discussing current events right now, so that would be subject matter jurisdiction. Then you have territorial jurisdiction over the land, and then that's actually land, sea, and air. You have your different levels of jurisdiction there. And so they're saying that China is violating some of the traffic laws in the air. So you might see them explode, and then you also have Australia caught in the mix of that. And speaking of Australia, um, their leader, who's doing all of these different things to them, and shutting down and giving them mandates. Well, allegedly he have broken ribs now. I don't know if somebody pushed him or not, but you know, it's funny how he's trying to kill people and do all these different things, and he falls and breaks his ribs, and so this is putting a halt to some of the stuff he's doing. Um, so that's karma, and in this age, karma will come quick. Age of Aquarius, and we were talking about this before, B Miles, how karma works. It's like you are doing a lot of actions and activity, and as soon as you continue to do these actions, they upload into a cloud. And as you go on over time in your season, in due season, those actions, those consequences come down and download on you. So this is where they get the concept from universal law of cloud computing, and the whole karma piece actually can be explained just like that. So they're trying to get rid of the uh, unemployment, the uh, uh, SSI, food stamp. They're trying to get rid of all of those things as we're about to move into the winter. And if you know war and study war, this is a prime example of them showing openly their agenda. And to a large portion, it's still in play, going for them strong. But also, a lot of people are seeing what's going on and stepping up, and is actually taking a detour. So that's why they're actually getting pissed. And so this is why we have to definitely stay vigilant. Um, we've been telling people about the adjustment and how very grateful that our people are not uh, falling for it this time around. We know about the whole Tuskegee experiment. And then we also know that with that, us not taking it, they have to move to different phases to try to get people to take it, or to affect them with it. And that's what's actually happening. So, due to our people sitting and not taking action a couple months ago, years ago, um, this is actually, you're actually seeing the north node of the moon. It's a point of the moon actually being shown how we're supposed to be speaking up and exercising our unalienable and inalienable birthrights. But on the flip side, you see the south node representing uh, the big time corporate owners, and you see this opposition, this big battle taking place. And they're going to continue to move, and we can continue to watch and discuss and talk about what's going on. And until we actually start taking action collectively, because it's our duty to save the planet. We are the children of the planet, and it's on us to do it. Um, right now, the children are running rapid with our sciences and math, and you see the destruction that's actually here. So it's up to us to wake up and save this planet. Um, I don't, know as far as where the entire audience is with the information, as far as us being the oldest people or the natural people of the land, but it's definitely time in this age that uh, the Earth, you could call her Mother Earth, Daughter Earth, she's calling for us to step up and take back the planet. And you don't have to be violent and things like that. Um, as you see, Earth is already supporting you to come back into rulership, and it's very important that you wake up and be aware of that right now. Um, as you see, the CDC says that your oppressor, the colonizers, are at a negative birth rate, and this has been for some time. So there's no need to go all crazy. You just got to organize and get prepared, and that's where we're at now. So when we see actions like um, the federal employment or the federal workers being told to get the adjustment or leave. And you see an example like what happened in New York um, with the new de facto substitute alleged acting governor. She is trying to force everyone there, the workers there, to get it, including the teachers. But then when you look at uh, who Kumo, he actually uh, maybe, I don't know, he may have not wanted to take out everybody. So this is probably why they wanted to get him out of there, because he didn't want to go along with the agenda. So they bring all these allegations against him that they already know about. That's just something to look on another level. But she's wanting to replace people with or workers with foreigners, and you already see uh, the direction that they're headed. Then when you look at places like Washington, you see uh, fire department workers, and then you see them having to come out with bulletproof vests and all these different type of military and police grade equipment and uniforms on, and they're getting shot at as they're trying to put out fires, because it's now, when you create this whole police state like scene or environment, now it's going to be hard to distinguish. And a lot of people, it's like every man for themselves. You have a lot of policy enforcers, what you call police. They are stepping down um, or transferring to different counties or cities, because they're pushing this mandate on them as well. Now, if you don't know anything about the police, they have a uh, duty to protect the property of the corporation. And so now it's being revealed that the corporation owners really don't care about you either, because the Agenda 2030, the Sustainable Development Plan, is supposed to be to cut the population down. And they have their different methods, and you have to really read between the lines of what they're saying in this plan, because it's not what you think it is. You may see on it, it's a clean water, good water, all these different type of things, but you have to really read between the lines. Um, and that's why we also been telling people, uh, definitely make sure you take care of your health, because of the aerosols that's now being released. And so with all of these different things taking place, you have a lot of world governments, all different parties of these different world governments are trying to um, step up and do what they can. But again, this is something that they have planned for uh, generations. So, um, and it's all due to the fact surrounding the people here in North America. Whether you know that or not, is all due to the people involved here. The largest inheritance or estate that's unclaimed in the world, and really all we have to do is step up and come back into governmental principles. But you can't go there until you actually learn to master yourself with, again, I like to go back to what some principles our ancestors used, Ma'at. So it's all about balance, and it's all about going back to our practices of Ma'at. And so um, also you have China, they are upset with the way that the U.S. is doing businesses or business, not just here, but across all over the world, wherever they have a military base. And China is also doing different things as far as shutting down certain routes to trade and uh, agreements. So that's actually the U.S. Owners are actually saying they're going to do whatever it takes to fight back and, uh, you know, whatever it takes, basically. So um, don't be surprised if you see something pop off with that. We know that Biden is trying to push this whole agenda from China, because he actually is paid by them and put in office by them, while the rest of the world knows what took place back in January. They also know about um, the true heirs of this land. So that's something that, again, our people have to really uh, wake up and see. And I think in this age, there's so many resources to get information to find out who we are concerning personal jurisdiction. This will give us a better chance to know the proper steps to take. So let me see here. But do you have any questions so far? Is that, again, I don't want to be long-winded. Um, and then also I can't forget about the oil spill. Now I don't just go with mainstream media what they say about the oil spill and different things. We had these things take place several times, but then when you look at certain classified documents from the FBI or Department of Justice, you'll see that that's not just oil spills. There's something else going on in those bodies of waters, visitors, different beings, things like that. Not going to get too much into that stuff, but basically. You see the uh, collapse or the constructed collapse of the economy. So if I drain out all the oil, I drain out all the resources, all the goods, then we have a complete dictatorship, just like we already see. Uh, so that's why it's very important to be aware and be very vigilant over the next coming months, actually calling for mid-October for some things to pop off. So you definitely want to be prepared before then. They haven't been successful with the bio uh, passports, okay, the biotech passports. Um, so that's a plus, but again, you can't put anything past them and how far they'll go to rule. And it doesn't have to be this way. Um, and I know that B Miles, he's been talking about a lot of different earthquakes and a lot of different things that's happening around the world. Uh, all of this, again, it doesn't have to happen this way. This can be taken care of and solved. Um, the natural people of the land, if we would actually get back into our principles and science, we can actually take care of this stuff. Um, you said, are we already operating under a social credit score? Yes, that's why they're trying to get in. That's why Biden and them are trying to. Well, this is a lie. They're trying to say that they want to get into the bank accounts of the people through the IRS. Well, we already know that they already have access to that. Okay, it's their private commercial paper. The Federal Reserve note, what you call the dollar, is theirs. So they already have. If you're trading and using my private commercial paper every day, that means that it's mine, and I can call it back at any time. That's why you can't take out uh, 10,000 or more at one time without a signature, and then alarming me, let me know that that's what you're doing, because you don't really have ownership. If you have gold and silver, that's something completely different. But yeah, that's what they're telling people. But these are all fear and scare tactics. Uh, it's all based off of Mars, Moon, Phobos, and Deimos. They're trying to pump this fear, and this is all in an aspect with Neptune in the media to cause confusion. But you see, um, Pluto is coming direct, and you're going to see a lot of information come out. Uh, well, even more that's going to come out. That's going to reveal more of their plans. Some of their people are already leaving their plans, and a lot of people are getting detained from what's going on behind closed doors. A lot of the priesthood, what you call preachers, pastors, priests from the Catholic Church, which is the foundation of the operations on this land and abroad. The Catholic Church is the biggest stockholder in the world, which means when they have these different instruments, that means that credit card, um, loans, driver's license, birth certificates, you name it, socials. All of these are the commercial or uh, paper backing of the new quote unquote slavery or forced servitude in this age. So instead of having a leash or chains on my servants, I then have them that carry their enslavement documents in their pockets. Okay. And it's called bureaucratic slavery. It's a bureaucratic system. And so um, the church owns a lot of these bonds and stocks that is actually that we carry in our pocket. Well, I don't, but when people carry that in their pocket and stuff like that and do transactions with these things, this is evidence of how the Catholic Church, they are the biggest stockholders. And this stuff is all backed on the IMF, okay, which they are making some changes to their regulations, okay. Um, so, okay, yeah, a couple. Yep, that's right. China having problems with Taiwan. That's right. Um, let's see, any other? Well, I don't. Well, I since I know they're cracking down on saying uh, talking about the adjustments and they talking about removing. I'm not gonna get into that, but uh, you all can type in for your own selves. Uh, you can type in vigiaccess.org, and then when you type that in, and you go and read the terms, you just click continue, or so some if based off your browser it might say accept, and then type in COVID and just see what pops up. It's gonna list some things what is going on, and I'm just gonna leave that there. It's, in sake of to save the platform, you just do that's. I'm just giving you a launching pad for your research. Um, but that's something that they're doing and been planning on doing for a long time since 2015, openly on record. Um, okay, let's see. Any questions? Okay, Roz said, ever since Noble Draw League, there hasn't been enough Moors to get it right. I don't understand. Well, yeah, the key is unity. The key is unity, and I always say your remedy is our unity. If you want remedy, you want all the things that other nations have: free housing, healthcare, uh, rent, electricity, all these different things that people are fighting for today. Um, if you want these things, you got to come together. You got to unite. You got to do what nations do. You got to come under national principles and standards and a national flag, and then you could be able to address a lot of issues. Um, do you think there will be an internet blackout soon, considering Facebook and IG was active? Yes, we actually touched on that a couple weeks ago, but yes, and actually, if you're using WhatsApp and Telegram, this has been one of the main targets for uh, hackers and dark web activity, and they're actually turning that into that type of platform. So they're actually tracking that right now. Um, so they're going to use this, and I look at a lot of these actions as an excuse to, like with the Facebook shutdown, Instagram is actually a opportunity for them to take away more liberties. Is actually, you got to ask yourself who's benefiting, what do you lose, what do you gain, and in these type of situations, they're trying to take away more uh, rights in the name of protecting your rights, but they're not actually doing that. And it's funny, you have all these whistleblowers coming out, and if you listen to let the actors that call themselves Congress, if you listen to them, they're so happy that the whistleblowers are coming forth, and it takes so much courage. We're going to do all the best to protect you, and all these different things. But they turn a blind eye to the heirs of this land. We've been saying this is our land. We've been saying that. Um, you know the history, even in the public law that they put out, that this is our stuff, give it back, and they tell us that we're crazy and different type of stuff like that. So it's just hypocrisy on all ends, and they know that they can't give back the estate because that means that they're not going to have a place for them to go. So um, that's right. You gotta make sure, yep, because it's an experiment. That's right. That's right. Um, Do you think artificial intelligence would copycat of humans like to think to some yeah, well, they do have a lot of um, artificial intelligent um, you know technologies, but none of this stuff is new. We actually had this in Kemet or Egypt, and Sophie, what they call the first one of their kind, the AI that they had, uh, that they created, recreated, because we actually taught them this science, um, was actually having a debate against another android. And so they, are trying to get into the place of functioning where they're able to hold conversations and just do, replace humans in a sense. But it can be dangerous because when you have children left in the kitchen cooking, 5 years old, and don't know what they're doing, that's, they can burn the whole house down. And if you equate the house to a planet, that's what you're actually looking at. This is why they're actually looking at other planets, um, because if you're in a minority and you're doing all these things, and when 2050 come here and you're still doing these things, you're going to be outnumbered. So it's better to put people to sleep now and deal with 55 million than 550 million. And that's their thinking. But let's not stop there. Let's just go to, say, the whole world. and let's cut out a couple billion. Let's help them go to sleep faster and tuck them in. That's the type of vibe that they're on. But that's you know something that we actually mastered back then, and we was had these different technologies that we were using, and so it's really nothing new. So I hope that answers your question. Do you expect them to drop the Messiah and move to climate completely, or do you think things will go in? Yeah, well, this is the big thing. They could not get us to continue to be divided with the same tactics. They say, black versus white, and then you find out what black means in law, what white means in law. You find out that no, we're not talking about racism. You're talking about birthright thefts. You're talking about nationality. Other nations have uh, national principles and standards. So you can't distract with that anymore. Then you continuously put psyops in people's faces, and some of them may be real, some of them maybe not. But the point is, when these type of things happen, then they always want to go after the guns and take over control, and then after that, they say, okay, well, let's try the whole gender thing, male versus female. Okay, well, let's try the whole age gap. Okay, elder versus the youth. A lot of these things aren't working, so that's why they actually trying to um, expedite the process. And one of the best things that's been helping people to stay separate is this adjustment piece. And it's all through confusion and lying. But pretty soon that will fail because, as you can see, people already stopped wearing masks, and uh, they, stop adhering to a lot of these things. So uh, I think they're going to continue to drag this out as much as they can because this is the best option that they have until the other plan phase come in, where they start talking about, like you mentioned, the um, geological changes that's taking place, and then also, uh, oh, we have extraterrestrial. What did we just see last week? The one of the former head of intelligence come out talking about more UFOs, and then you also have them transporting uh, air UFO aircraft to their testing grounds. So yeah, I think that's the next move, and it's a whole planetary thing. So now they're trying to erase all nations and flags and just say planetary. Okay, and that will be the next thing. But again, as far as our people, we can last. I think sometimes we get so used to uh, getting our tails whooped that we adjust to being whooped and get used to it and adapt versus actually doing something about it. And uh, we kind of subconsciously know that we're not going anywhere, just like the roaches or um, different creatures that was here long ago. We kind of know y'all need us. So if you wipe us out, you wipe yourself out. So that's kind of subconsciously playing in the background for our people, but um, Earth is saying no more. Okay, uh, it's time to move on to a different mindset. Yeah. Uh, yep. So flying cars. That's right. Yep. They are actually have a lot of those things. Conveyances that can rock that can drive their own, drive themselves. That's programmed to drive themselves and ship goods. In fact, Tesla is using a lot of that technology, or Elon Musk is using a lot of that technology now, that he took from the blueprint from Nicholas Tesla, which he took the blueprint from Granville T. Woods, okay, one of our people, and you can look him up. So what's the end game to all of this? The end game to all of this is, in one sense, the elite continuing to try to uh, maintain control and power, and then uh, some forced events where the people are forced to step up, and even some of their own will then see that they're in the crosshairs and they will have to be forced to step up as well. They already have the shielding camps that they're bringing with CDC. They're saying they're trying to protect those people who uh, haven't got the adjustment yet. They're saying that the ones who haven't got it, it's their fault why the world is the way it is. So we need to shield you all from the ones who did get it. So don't be considered when those solicitors come to your door. Um, don't get so concerned and want to fill out their documents and answer their surveys. Just ignore them. Keep your door closed. Okay. Uh, is Tartaria real? Did they get a? Hold up, it jumped. Uh, Wait, he said, is Tartaria real? Did they do a reset about 200? Yes, you could get the book. A hit How to Hide the Empire. Get that book, the Tartarian Empire. Okay. Um, they actually it's or the How to Hide the Empire, and then they also have the Tartarians, one of the greatest empires that they try to wipe off the face of the earth. Um, Let me see. That's right. Yep. Our robot. That's right. Um, and so also, let me not forget, uh, you know what's going on with Nicki Minaj and her kindred. Some of her relatives are getting some side effects, and going back and forth with these companies about what's going on. They're trying to shut her up and close her Twitter down, things like that. Well, um, a lot of the actions that you see take place with her, celebrity, um, a lot of the things that the everyday people are going through, um, she's experiencing it now, and I think a lot of the so-called celebrities and they starting to experience this stuff, and they've been sitting back watching. Now they're at a crossroad where they know they have to speak up now. Where you see contracts are on the line, some NBA players, you see record deals are on the line, music producers, singers, rappers. So you're beginning to see, although they're trying to separate us and keep us separate, that's under the influence of, you know, Saturn and Aquarius. I want to keep people restricted and limited. You also see that we're more connected with Jupiter and Aquarius retrograde. We're more connected than we think. And we're connected whether you got a lot of finance or you have little, you are being oppressed by the same people. So all of these differences, all these different things that you're experiencing, now you're starting to see more similarities. And so now nature, Mother Nature is actually testing them or putting them in a situation where they have to step up and not just go along with the script. Um, so it's going to be interesting to see with them having resources, how will they be able to use them now when you see that they openly are trying to affect not just your way of earning, but living. Okay. And you see some people already decided to go ahead with it. But just like I said, go to that website and type in, and you'll start your research there and you'll see exactly what some side effects are about. Um, Let me see. Okay. Uh, any questions?
Any questions in the chat? Any questions in the chat?
That's right, Quentin. Nature is fighting back. You know, they've been releasing a lot of drones in the air to help them spray a lot of stuff. This is they're using technology to destroy, right? They're destroying us, but they also destroying water, food, animals, earth, everything on earth they're destroying. Well, as they're releasing these technologies to basically destroy, um, like you said, nature is stepping up. So what do you have? You have drones being released in the air, and then you have them set to, spy and release certain chemicals. And you have these crows and ravens attacking these drones and knocking them out the air. This is one of the ways that nature is, protecting us in a sense and fighting back, because you can't put something artificial in the air and don't think that the ones that domicile or travel in the air is not going to have something to say about it. Same thing with on the earth. Uh, Certain missiles and things like that is being shut off. Okay, um, and that's the time that we're in now. Um, do you think they will come into our homes by force to give us the jab? Well, when they get to, well, if they do that on a global level, you can definitely expect that here. But I would say if people are already seeing what's going on now, it's best to start stocking up and get you some protection for that. They even doing it to the National Guard, and a lot of time in these crises, they're trying to force an emergency, a complete emergency state. Um, Now, when they do that, uh, that means they have more control. Okay, so when they have more control, they then issue a lot of their personnel, military personnel to come in. Well, what's going to happen if you're forcing your own military to get jabbed? And they go say, I'm not going to get it either. So you're going to give them a dishonorable discharge? Well, that's what Biden is trying to do. Um, so if you take out all the federal employees, you take out all the nurses, you take out all the teachers, everything gets shut down. Then you bring in the National Guard. Oh, you don't have them. So who are you going to hire? Private contractors. Okay. And that's where a lot of people have been moving in. A lot of nations have been moving into private contracting to do the military work. So it's kind of getting back to the old days in a sense, but then also using the super soldiers and the technology to fill in for the people or personnel that they lost that don't abide to what they're telling them. So you have technology implementing coming in. This is where DARPA comes into play, creating these machines to learn and train how to shoot, how to do all these things. But remember, um, this whole operation you see on the front end, you know that things are going on in the back end as well. So um, that's how I tell people stock up and get some protection for things that take place like this. It's not happening here yet, but you see that that's the direction they're trying to go in, um, and that's why you have to continue to spread the word and raise awareness um, until they blatantly say we're going to come and get you, which they are lining it up from the CDC and trying to say it's an emergency state um, or emergency crisis, which they already signed the military over, the government over to FEMA. So, and that's actually goes to um, the Executive Order 11490. If you look up Executive Order 11490, um, it actually talks about some of the mapping locations for different, how they're going to separate and segment the different areas. That's right. should be at a shooting range. It should be practicing or learning a lot of different things. He said the Marines are. Uh, well, no. One of the Marines from 2 weeks ago, they actually got taken to a camp for not taking it, and they're being held there until they take it or get a dishonorable discharge or go to jail. So that's what's actually happened there with them. Right, the electricity, which would be a strategic move on their end, because you gotta remember this is China is projected to become the top or the rulers in the age, according to them, and that's actually where they're trying to take rulership, and the U.S. and other people, the European nations, basically are trying to stop them. And you see Ghana. Um, you see, I love Ghana. I love what the prime minister, the leader, is doing there, with his people getting them back on track, using the youth and projecting things to happen for them to rise. And you have the African nations forming their own union to basically say we're not going to go in this sinking ship with you. And so by the European nations falling, they're going to you can expect them to go out swinging. Um, it's kind of like if we had if this were if we all was domiciling, we would stand in a mansion. We stand in a mansion, and you have all these different rooms in the mansion, and we all are uh, in the mansion, and you have the butler and um, the maid. They're actually running the mansion, and that's really supposed to work for us, and they're telling us you can't come outside your room, uh, you can't go to work, you can't do anything because you haven't you know take taken this cup, and because you haven't taken it, you gotta stay away because y'all are affecting the other side of the mansion, and you're causing so much things to take place. And then when you realize, oh, this was my ancestors mansion, and you were really the servant, and I'm not the servant, and you begin to realize that, now you start to tell them that you want full ownership. And now, before you can get there and tell everybody else, now I got to start taking out everybody in the mansion, and that's what they're doing. um, if I don't take the whole mansion down in flames myself. So that's what we actually are experiencing now. The newest people on the earth, or the youngest ones, are actually, if you call them that, are actually causing a lot of this stuff to happen like that. It's He said, yeah, it's not all caps. Put it in lowercase. Um, where did all the chemtrails go? So the chemtrails, they go basically when they shoot them out. They then descend down into the sewage system and the waterways, and also on your shrubs. They go into your trees. They go into your um, grass, and when that seeps into the water, that's also another form of toxic waste that we're consuming. So um, it's best. That's why it's best that we could talk about all the things we can do and buy this for that or get this for that. You gotta address the main problem. The main problem is the same ones who's causing all these problems. So you gotta stop talking about, just like Khalid Muhammad used to say, uh, it's not the web, it's not the spider, it's the web. No, you gotta look at the spider that's creating this web. You gotta look at the spider that's causing all these different webs and weaving all of these different problems for all our people all over the world. Everywhere you see these different nations, they supposed to look just like us. That's the original to that landmass, and you see it's run and taken over by foreigners. They are causing a problem everywhere they go, and that's why we gotta actually um, stop addressing uh, these little issues and deal with the big issues. Okay, is by the ETs. I don't know that, but um, yeah, I don't know about that part, but I do know, when these flights, that's when you see those, um, they look like clouds. They're actually not clouds. They are chemtrails. They used to, when the plane used to go, they used to skid over the sky and then they vaporize. Now they're not. They stand there and then they actually seep down. And they make all these X's. They make, it's like they playing tic tac toe, connect four, doing all these designs like children would draw on a piece of paper in the sky, and that's all of those lines and skid marks you see, and they're standing there. Um, you, you said to ask how should the enlightened deal with gang stalking? It's a phenomenon prevalent in this time. Uh, Gang stalk. If you could be more specific, gang stalking to you or to it just in general. Yeah, well, the bank and the ATM, that's something that they already have access to all this stuff. They have access to it. Just like I don't know if you all remember in 2012 or 2012 and 13, the what happened in Italy, what they call Italy today, Andalusia. What happened there is the Vatican took the nationals and the citizens' bank accounts. Um, they froze their accounts and took their finance. And it's something when things like that happen, it can happen here as well, because again, it's all owned by the same people. Oh, okay, yeah. So gang stalking. Um, how do you deal with gang stalking? Um, that's a you gotta get to the core of what's going on. At least try to talk to them. I know I talk to a lot of gang members, or I try to teach them stuff. Um, so first you gotta get to the core of what's going on. Okay, yeah, I don't know. Guys, I don't know what you're asking, but yeah. So you know, yeah, but so yeah, so as you see the towers, speaking of phones, the towers when they go down, then of course um, that's it for that as far as communication. Um, but what you need to do is uh, well, there are alternatives to when the towers go down, different phone services that you can get um, to try to stay in touch. But again, When this type of thing go down, um, by the time it happened, I think everybody will at least have 7 days, if that, to make moves. But outside of that, when they shut it down, they shut it down. Um, oh, you're saying you're being stalked daily? Well, go to the sheriff. Um, deal with the sheriff. The sheriff is the only lawful, what you call, officer on the land, because he ran for office. Okay, so I would go to the sheriff. Um, oh yeah, so Joe Biden. Let's get back to some of the things that they're trying to do. Now, this is interesting. Y'all remember when what's his the baby? Well, I don't know if you heard the baby physically assaulting uh, a woman, and nobody's really talking about that. But the moment he says something about the alphabet group, he gets dropped, and the alphabet group now is beginning to um, talk or want to discuss with ages 5 through 8 about young boys having cervix, and being able to get their change and everything like that without parental consent. So as you send your children to school, the Fauci's talking about implementing something for the children now, but then also the alphabet group is talking about uh, implementing the whole agenda for teaching them about that direction. And so that's another piece of evidence that when the earth is changing, you see a lot of this stuff run rampant like it is. If you go back and check history, that's what you'll find. And so we're going to continue to repeat if we don't learn a lesson. One of the lessons through all of this is um, number one, unifying. Um, the way that the colonizers were able to gain world power in such a short time was through us not having a unified front and having infighting. Like, for example, there might be some things that you don't like about a person or your brother or sister, but you got to ask yourself, are they overall a bad person? Because some people may just have character flaws, but we have a tendency to say they're bad altogether, completely. And they become your enemy and things like that. And this is how the Albions or the colonizers are always able to capitalize. And you have the 10% ruling the 90%. So this is why it's very important that we start there with that foundation. Okay. There's even ancient saying that our ancestors used to say, if you have gold, you need the one who got silver. Okay. We need to, if you got a piece of the puzzle and resources, then we need to unite and bring them together. Um, talk about nationalizing. Yeah, and it's crazy the stuff that's going on down there in California and Washington. They have policy. They got police having shootout with people, and somehow in the video, if you look it up, they are not. All these shots fired into this person, and they missed every single time. But yet he was able to take out some of them. Uh, is it a psyops? It will be revealed in due time. But a lot of this stuff is happening right now. Yeah, yep. Headed to the border. Yep. But hey, one thing you haven't heard is that the our Haitian brothers and sisters having to get all of these adjustments down there, and they getting the treatment that they're getting. It's not looking too good or great for them. Let me see. Well, Maxine Waters, yeah. A lot of people sell out. A lot of them are sell out. Uh, is the population we're given worldwide real? Are we running out of? Are we really running out of resources? Yeah, the population is real, but the lie is that we're running out of space. It's that they're causing this to take place, and you know, now I do agree that there's a lot of carbon emissions taking place and a lot of pollution, but the method that they're using or going about to crack down on the pollution or get rid of a lot of the mess, that's where they're wrong. Um, that was a good question. DeSantis. Um, how do I feel about Alex Jones? Uh, I mean, he shares some good information, I guess. They try to shut him up for getting off track and going against them. Um, but again, you got to take everything that you hear and read and see and just discern. Uh, just discern. Judge people by their character, and he went up against them, and you see what they did. So they said he trips off for real. Yep, control. Yeah, yep. Uh, a lot of the and that's how a lot of the people that really cause them hell they get rid of. So and a lot of times if they can't, they put them in jail, and they don't do that, then something else. But because some people who released certain bills and called into the House uh, and the Senate, they called into certain public law and certain private secret legislation and acts that was passed, and you see what happened to them. They said they went on a vacation and they went skydiving and forgot their parachute type stuff. Yeah, and that whole Sandy Hook thing. I mean, you got to read the files on that. FBI put out on that. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of psyops that take place. Even the Las Vegas shooting years ago, a while back. Yeah, getting the retrograde. Yeah. Um, well, but good news is you have Uranus coming direct next year, so we'll see how that takes place for Earth. A lot of the after the chaos and madness that they're trying to cause, a lot of that stuff will be coming direct, and got Pluto coming direct. Uranus coming direct. Mercury will be coming direct. Mars. So you're gonna have a lot of good energy moving forward. And in my noble opinion, I think they're trying to block people from getting to this new energy releasing that's going to be taking place um, through a cycle of time. Remember, because time is cyclical, so they're trying to keep everybody on a linear timeline, keep you in the 9 to 5 blocks, so you won't reach this period. And once you are dependent on this linear 9 to 5, and they take it away from you, you've been so out of touch with the cyclical time, the real time, then you won't be able to be in harmony with nature. Do I study Phil Valentine? No, I try not to study people. I try to go to the resource, go to the source of stuff, um, and that's what I would encourage a lot of people to do. Go to the source of stuff so we can. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't study or search, but you can go to the source. But one thing that gets our people in trouble is that when we go to study history or time events, we get into this whole thing about episodic history, where we like to look at an episode, and even in the school system, you learn to um, get the correct answer by studying people, places, things, and events, which is wrong. And this is when history is bound to repeat itself if you're not careful, because you're learning through episodes to trying to find the right answer, even if they say the answer is right and you know it's incorrect. Prime example, uh, did Christopher Colombo, who they call Christopher Columbus, did he discover America? No. But on the test, if you put no, you get a false answer. So that's episodic history. And when you study episodic history or study people through episodic mindset, then that's you only get to a certain degree. But when you look at how our ancestors taught, they taught through um, conceptual or conceptual correction or corrective history. And basically, you teach the time, place, event, and what led to the event. What are the consequences of the events? Uh, who were the people affected? This is the way that we learn, so we don't repeat the same thing over and over. Um, and that's where we're at now. I realize if you study the earth around you, you're forced to take care of business. If you keep your eyes in the books all day and read all day, especially the past, you're stagnated. Yeah, you definitely depending on your learning style, you definitely gotta in many different ways. You can be auditory, learn through auditory, visual, kinetic. So there's many different learning styles. You gotta find which one best fits you, and that's where if you look at your personal natal chart, you'll find where your Mercury is. That's how you think, how you process information, how you solve things. Is the ascension real? Yes. A lot of people actually going through the ascension process right now, and it doesn't look pretty for everybody because it's different. So some people just learning more about themselves, it can be very eye-opening and painful because they've been learning a lot of stuff and believing a lot of stuff in the Piscean age that is untrue, and now it's like their roots are being ripped up. So, where's the best way to find my native lineage? Uh, well, one way you could start with going to your relative, your folks, and you know, finding out, asking, and going that direction first. But in this age, like I said, this you're gonna see a whole bunch of different experiences and ascension and awakening. It's gonna look different for it's not the same for everybody. It's gonna look different on many levels. Um, and that's why they say it's best to end those cycles or start those cycles in the proper time, because when you get caught into a cycle, it's like going into a spiral of the same events, and that's what you actually will be experiencing. That's right. Fasting is a huge help. Um, well, ascension as far as in consciousness. So a lot of our people will ascend in their consciousness and be able to get more information and downloads. So, for example, uh, our ancestors taught from the waters of noon, the primal waters of noon, that all creation came. And basically, the consciousness that come out of the waters of noon is something that grows and develops within all of us. And so in this age, you're going to see that consciousness grow in different ways for different in different people, and it won't look exactly the same. So you might have some people just learning about, wow, there's a lot of stuff going on that I had no clue of, and that's an example of how they're ascending. And then you might have some people going deeper into the knowledge. But as far as um, people becoming going into different dimensions, I think that's when you're looking at the elements of the earth, when the oxygen, uh, the carbon, and things of that nature become more dense and get, or less dense, I should say, and you see people start to uh, ascend that way. But because Earth, nature, the natural environment is so dense now. That's why we're in the 3D, in the physical. But the less denser it becomes, the more we'll start to shed these shells, according to science. Why do most people fall back to sleep? Um, well, a lot of people fall asleep. Uh, it's just like you try to wake somebody up to go to school, say, "Come on, it's time to go," and they go back to sleep. They know that they have to get up and go, but it's that sluggish will. Their physical nature, that carnal nature, is taking over. And so, if we can be able to relate to each other on the conscious level, um, and ignite that fire, you won't have to get anybody to do anything. They will actually begin to see and act and do based off what they internally feel, what they think, and what they see. And so, um, we just have to continue to wake them up. It's just like what's the name of that movie? Not Get Out. What's the name of the movie where he was fighting his friend, and they like exaggerated the scene so he could wake him up. Um, what's the name of that movie? They Live. That's it. Yeah, that's right. They Live. You see how he had to body slam him and continue to fight him just to get him to see that there's some people that you think are a certain way and they're not, and that's actually what we are experiencing now. Because although we are brilliant people and excellent people, we can be some hard-headed, stubborn, and rebellious people, um, and that's what's taking place. We witness a worldwide genocide, yes, um, and we've been witnessing a worldwide genocide for a long time. It's just now everybody can see it because they are doing a mass shutdown. But if you look at them creating a convention from the United Nations, the Convention for the Prevention of Genocide. You could type that uh, in Google, or and if you don't, if you have Google, they have DuckDuckGo. They've been committing genocide in whole and in part at many different levels. So you can look up that treatise on, or that document on genocide, uh, the prevention and the Convention and Prevention on Genocide. Look that one up from the United Nations, and you'll actually get more insight of how this has been going on for some time. And the United Nations tried to address it. But how are you going to address it when your biggest funders is the U.S. corporation? And who sits on the Security Council? Only those certain nations that's keeping every other nation off of the High Security Council. It's all fraud. It's all linked back to the same people. So in essence, you got to save yourself. We can't look for anybody to save us. We have to save ourselves. If a lioness was getting attacked by a bunch of hyenas, she won't start calling out people in the sky. She won't start calling on her ancestors. She won't start quoting scriptures. She won't start, let me go get this. She won't do none of that. She's going to try to defend herself, and she's going to try to survive until help can come. The lion, till he comes. And that's the same approach we need to take. Uh, you got so many organizations and institutions. And like I said before, what good is it? What good is an organization, institution, religion, you name it? You fill in the blank. If I'm trying to get to the other side of the water or the ocean or the sea, and I have to carry the boat myself, what good is it? You don't need that boat anymore. And that's what we're experiencing now. All of these institutions were supposed to be there in the name of helping our people throughout generations. And that's something that we don't see. And so, since we don't see that, if you know better, you do better. We don't need those. We have to save ourselves. Uh, and so, part of that is coming through the learning process, relearning. We talk about being brought up in the John D. Rockefeller, Frederick T. Gates school system, which is based off of the industrial theme. You have the agricultural theme, what our ancestors were tilling the land, and we survived and lived off the land. To fast forward, John D. Rockefeller, Frederick T. Gates, they sat down on a committee and said, how can we get these people to work for us and really push our agenda for the Industrial Revolution? Because these people, they know the science of the land, which is another thing, by the way. They tell you we was brought here on ships and all these different things, but how were we able to learn the land that fast and grow crops and grow all these things? Just throwing that out there. But we were great agriculturists, horticulturists, and developing the lands. And then they come together, put together a board, and say, if we can get you to give us your children, and we'll put them in periods, okay, for 40 to 45 minutes each period. When we take your children, we're going to teach them how to be managers, how to run and sustain our corporate system that's coming up. We're not going to teach them how to be entrepreneurs, how to self-sustain, how to build. We want them to be in office jobs. This is what they did. So we'll train them in our school system how to prepare for the Industrial Revolution in that era. So you went from agriculture to the Industrial Revolution, which they had this false front of a civil. How you gonna have a civil war? It's an oxymoron. So they have this alleged civil war, North versus South, and the North is telling the South, let them go, let those people go. So not in the sense, see, they cared. No, it wasn't that. They said, let them go so that they can get on this industrial revolution game and we can create the capitalist society. And the South said, no, we good down here. We're making fiat off of them, free labor. Then they coming back to us when we free them and they working for us. So why would I stop it? So what they did was said, okay, we're going to go to war with y'all because y'all don't see the big picture. We are the minority of the planet Earth. If we take over this now, we'll be able to set up something for our generations to come. Then once they did that, they moved into the Industrial Revolution, where you start seeing that take place. We're at the same point now, or a similar point. They want us to go into or we're actually moving into the tech technology or technological revolution. And since we're in the technological revolution, they're saying that this is the biggest wealth transfer in history that's taken place. When they put the smoke screen in front of your face about uh, jab, 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 but then they're transporting gold and silver, precious metals, and they're actually moving into the technological revolution, where the wealth gap between our people and the Albion is so uh, inseparable. It's so the disparity is so big, the gap is so big, you won't be able to close it, especially when it gets to the technology. So now that they're moving to this age, they're going to re-implement another school platform, just like they did with the agricultural era for the industrial era. They're going to implement a new school system or platform based off of the technological revolution. So we're going to have people trained to work and attend to machines and androids and bots and things of that nature, which is going to create them more wealth and again continue the cycle. But not this time. This is why we need to get into a situation where we're in control of our destiny. Uh, in in a sense, it's not going to happen by us just talking and saying it's going to happen. We got to get out of the ego. Um, they are ruling the world. The 10% are ruling the world. You got to give them respect. You have to respect what they're doing, because if you don't, you're going to get cocky and lose. And that's something that you don't want to go into this age with, because you face the verge of extinction. So um, that's what's actually happening, and that's where a lot of their actions is centered around. So they shut down the school. We don't care about school. They said that that's a non-essential. That's what they're saying. We don't care about health. We don't care about food, water, none of that, because for them it's all about fiat, and with fiat you get more control, more resources, and true wealth is about land. So we don't have access to the land, you don't have anything, and that's where they at now. So any other questions? um okay, do you think or believe that a person's evil deeds or actions carry on with them in the next round, or will they have a clean slate? Well, we do know, according to um, the cyclical nature of the planets and life cycle, that you come into life and you even go with certain skill sets, gifts, and things that you acquire from past lives and things of that nature. So um, you do carry over things, because remember, energy can't be created nor destroyed. That's E equals MC squared. So uh, you do carry these things over. And if we look at your natal chart, we'll be able to see exactly some of the skill sets that you're bringing into this life and some of the skill sets that you're supposed to develop aside from those. So you have karma, and then you also have dharma. Karma is the consequences that you are reaping from your actions in previous life. Dharma is when you get the opportunity to make things happen. And this is where you get the rotary wheel. Will there be Nasara implementation? Uh, in part, it's happening in part, but again, I wouldn't bank on or wait on them to give us anything. Um, you know, that's the whole goal is to be self-industrious and self-sustaining. Uh, this was supposed to be implemented, and again, portions of this was picked up, but then again, they keep derailing it. Um, but I wouldn't be waiting for a handout. Yep, they inject you with nanotechnology. Yes, yep. Uh, I agree, 100%. Uh, what do you see coming for October? This is the foundation month. Um, this is the month of Mayat and those 42 principles. This is the month of weighing the scales. So your heart, not the, um, metaphor. I'm just speaking in terms of what the heart actually means. Your mind, your soul, your will, your consciousness is being weighed against the actions that you took previously in the last cycle up until now versus what they're doing uh, is being weighed. Everything is being weighed, but uh, you also got to look at the one who's trying to control the scale and tilt it into their favor. Everybody's tilting the scales and towards them and in their favor, except for us. We feel we get guilt tripped into wanting to self-sustain and want to do for ourselves, um, and it's like they try to keep us as the only uh, inclusive group that wants to include everybody when everybody else don't include us in their plan except for being a consumer, and that's the damn problem. um, they want us always at the permanent bottom, so where they can leech off of us. And at the moment that we try to put something together, they send these trolls and different people in it to mess it up. And it's just so sad. If you could just see, you don't need them. If we just look at each other. Baba Komet, hope you're doing better. He taught me, he said, this ancient wisdom. In order for our people to get out of this situation, we have to turn our face towards our own people. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's the concept. Stop looking at the rest of the world and look at ourselves. And it's going to be some things that we don't like, and some things that we don't agree, but that's where we got to work stuff out. But it's just when it comes to our people, we're the only ones who they try to make us seem like we're uh, doing something bad if we want to build our own stuff up again. Uh, what is the significance of America and Egypt, the Nile River, and Mississippi River? Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, so I'm glad you asked that question. So the Nile is literally connected to here. They call this the Egypt of the West, and then you have the Egypt of the East, and together they both made this dual or mirror effect. Um, so the Mississippi is actually the Blue Nile, and the Ohio River is the White Nile. Okay, and where the two come together, that's where you get the city connected. There's a city there that's called Cairo. Cairo is pronounced Caire, and when you look up Cairo or Caire, is literally going to take you to the etymology or the definition of Mars. Okay, so Egypt was a Martian colony, Atlantean colony. That's what is purported. So then when these two connect, you have the blue and white Nile. And this is not to get too, it makes the constellation of the big Dipper, the Great Bear. And not to get too spiritual or um, religious and go into all these different texts and things like that. But if you look at Revelation, they actually talk about the seven cities of Asia. Okay, the cities of Asia is actually what they're talking about can be listed here. You have St. Louis, Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and Boston. Those are your seven churches of Asia, and uh, one kept their own the name, which is actually Philadelphia. They call it the city of brotherly love. Well, we also know Philadelphia. If you go there, Philadelphia is called Shaka Maxim, and it is actually city of the first. And city of the first is the first jail, the first barbershop, the first you name it. And they kept that name, and they actually have the Liberty Bell. Okay, the Liberty Bell is literally you turn it inside out, it makes a fez. Okay. Okay. So when you turn the Liberty Bell, you turn it inside out, it makes a fez, and you see that when you're hitting that bell. Okay. And so Philadelphia, Shaka Maxim, Chief Tammany, uh, you know, Penn Treaty. When you look at the treaties that were signed there, and all of the people involved in that, Queen Winona at Lover's Leap, where they actually thrown her over, and a lot of nationals come to that site to view that site, Lover's Leap, and they threw her over as they stole the estate. Um, but again, Philadelphia is the key, which is the 5-pointed star of David. Okay, that's the key, the star of David. Um, and so that's what you're looking at when you look at the relationship between them. That's right. Why do they call? Hold on, it's going too fast. Right. Hold up. Why do they call Mississippi Mother Africa? That's right. Because this is Africa. Okay, America is Africa. This is Northwest Africa, and at one time, all of the continents was connected. Okay, and that's why they call it the Pangea. But this is Northwest Africa. Mississippi is Africa, not Africa, African. You're talking about Africa with the KK. Okay, Africa, that's written on the walls of Egypt. Okay, so that's what the connection is there. Um, you said, how can you see it, mother? Okay, Syria, Mississippi, Pennsylvania. Yes. Uh, that's right. So that's the connection. So um, again, the divide comes in where they try to get a lot of our people to think to be separate from other indigenous or aboriginal or descendants of the same bloodline. That's why they try to get us to be divided so they can continue to rule. Uh, and that's why we try to continue to get us to unite in thought. Um, and again, and that's the main or essential thing to help us get to freedom, unity. And there's different ways you unify. You're not going to agree with everybody. No one's perfect. We all make mistakes, but it's learning how to um, build through those mistakes. Yes, they are trying to do a transit stop right now with the passports. That's in the third house of. They are trying to do these transit stops and or transit control. So flying, traveling, things like that. Trying to set up like we said, the bio passports. But you know, Again, this is part of this is in that phase. He said, "Are there grays walking amongst us?" Um, yeah, but yeah, I don't get too deep in it. Yeah, it is. Does the Africa that is America have a different spelling? What you mean, brother Malone, brother Larry? Uh, a- this landmass. Both first of all, our landmass have many different titles or attributes. We also call America and Africa Tamari, uh, many different titles. The Philadelphia in the Bible is Philadelphia in Syria, not Mississippi or Pennsylvania. Uh, yes, that's true, but I'm talking about it's not what you're thinking from a biblical graph and stuff like that. I'm talking about the old maps. If you look on the actual map, you can find these actual towns with these names actually there. You can actually go there now. So Philadelphia um, is one of the seven gates, and he who controlled the seven gates control the world. That's what you see now. And that's why a lot of the stuff they play out in front of your face through sports and entertainment. Um, yeah, yeah. Uh, the Grays ain't helping us. I heard they the yeah. That's what I heard as well. Yeah, AFRIKKA. Good grades. I'm not sure about that. Okay. Uh, Project Blue Beam PSYOP. Yeah, it's already in the making. They already got the crisis actors, and they have a lot of fake blood that they're ready to pump on the scene. They already have all this stuff planned. It's just getting the people to buy in. Um, and then the shadow government is are they human? Um, no. You know, a lot of them have uh, the hybrid have the RH factor, but those are different than the ones that you talk about with the shadow. They're yeah, there's something else, and they actually came in through the portal in 15 and 1700s after Al Andalusia fell in 1492. But and they actually a lot of them come in and incarnate in through or come into this sphere through the months of January and February. Are most states named after ancient? I was jumping. Ancient kings, chiefs, and queens. Uh, in a sense, yes. It's more so about the attribute. So yes, for example, Khalifa, Queen Khalifa for California, after one of the empresses there. Um, they have different names than what we call them today. Yep, Turtle Island was another one. Yep. Yeah, I don't know about the Grays. I don't know about them helping us. Um, So the invasion, just to be brief, it is in my estimation fake because you can look up right now. There's space treaties with uh, other beings from other planets, so they already knew about these different beings and stuff like that. So it ain't nothing new or a surprise. It's just how they've been training our people in dogma to not think or know that this stuff is actual, and get us to think that so egotistical and we're the only beings in the whole entire universe when they already prove it's life on other planets. But yeah, they already know. They have trees and everything. That's right. There are pyramids in Mississippi. A lot of families have the RH factor. What's your take on that? What families? Lady Lioness. That's the $1 million question, huh? He said, okay, okay. Mother said, how factual is the Bible? Uh, y- you can take it or leave it. It's information you could pull from in it. Um, Walter Williams talks about the origins of Christianity and Islam. So just look up some of his works as far as scholarly studies. Um, and a lot of the stuff they actually stole from Egypt. It's from our ancestors. So when you look at Asar, Aset, Heru, uh, Joseph, Jesus, and Mary, it just took copy and paste type work. Someone said it's a fact that God didn't write it down. That's true. That's 100% true. We know that for certain. Peace and love, Mother Whitney. Aunts and cousin my sibling had the RH factor. Yeah. So, um, are they mixed with Albions or European? And then you also got to take into consideration when you look at the Bible. Um, they have taken out books and given it to our people. So they give you those books and there's stuff missing, and they telling you this is the word of God, this is the truth. And they have excerpts in it about slave obey your master and Philemon. And they have in uh, when Timothy, when Paul, you have these stories of them writing and saying he's your slave is a brother in the Lord and a brother in Christ. You just gotta take these things into consideration how they use these things to control. Jesus, the term Jesus, actually came into existence, you know, in around the 16 and 15 and 1600s, and the first ship was called Jesus. And so you actually find some of those quote unquote slave hymns where they are singing about being on a ship and uh, helping, Jesus helping them, carrying them over the water so they don't drown. So just you gotta look at the Bible from a social engineering perspective, but then also look at it from a political perspective, and then also look at it from what they claim as a religion perspective. Because if we were to hold court and cross-examine and bring, this to trial, then we can get to some more truth, and that's the whole goal. Um, and that's what we gotta really look at, distinguish from the dogma versus uh, the truth, and then also look at how it's been used against our people. Um, Yes, because in one instance you might look at this is the book or the word of God, and this is, um, God, and this is His word, His everlasting, word, and these things, and not to come at anybody for adhering to that, but you also have to look at how it's being used for control purposes. When you go to jail, what book do they give you? They give you the Bible. And they say, if this is the greatest the book in the world, why would I, if teach you how to free your soul and your mind and your body, why would I give it to you if I just put you in prison? Unless you don't know what it's really for, and unless you don't know how to read and understand and interpret it. Um, and this is an issue that our people face when we get presented with these stories that's been borrowed from or yes, that's right, they put them in the hotel rooms as well. um, they put these control systems. You got to think, are you praying to the ancestors or the creators that your ancestors once prayed to in that native tongue today? No. um, and that's by design. And so that's something that they purposely have done to control through generations. And by doing that, this keeps the gang going. Why is it that if I go to rich neighborhoods, it's only one church, if that? But I go to the hood, we got 1,000 churches, liquor stores, and things like that. You know why? Because it's all for control. If I can keep you praying and believing that somebody's going to come, and you don't do anything, when I have a secret treaty of Verona and secret documents that prove that we tampered with these books to control you, that's the problem. And so when you go to Italy or Rome, you see that the Catholic Church in its origins is a political jurisdiction, not a religion. Everybody know around the world the church is a political arm, not a religious worship system. Only here do our people pray a lot, sing a lot, foam at the mouth, dance, fall out in the pew, twerk, do everything in church, and still have the same conditions. And it's like I said earlier, if I have to carry the boat, you can fill in the blank: Islam, Christianity, Buddhism. If I got to carry this across the water on my shoulders, why do I need this? It's not helping. And that's something that we got to look at. And so they give you portions and versions that they want you to have. And we partially are attached to these stories because, on some degree, they have taken a lot of these things from uh, ancient Egypt. So the Bible is a claim. Okay, if I was in court and somebody would say, "Read your testimony. What happened?" The book is the claim. Now, where's the evidence of a man being in the body of a whale for 3 days and 3 nights, Jonah? Where's the evidence? Because you all that acid in his stomach. Um, we don't see that happening today. Where's the evidence that Daniel had to be in the lion's den and not be eaten? Now we see some evidence of that, and then going through the fire and things like that. Where is that happening on an everyday basis? This is where we start calling stuff into court, into question to prove. And then you'll see uh, they want you to stay at a belief state. You have to believe it's going to work. Okay. Well, I see you prospering, and I see that you continue to keep our people down, but you want me to believe. And that's the big discrepancy there. So and it's not an attack, it's just being real. At some point, we got to say, okay, what has worked, what's working, what's not working. And if we were going to really evaluate and assess the situation, you got to look at what they're saying versus what's happening and how can we use it for our freedom. And if I can't take this uh, and use this for my earthly freedom that they tell you, uh, be of the world. I mean, don't be in the world, but not of the world. And for God so loved the world that He gave His life. He gave His only begotten Son. But they tell you to be in the world, but not of it. These contradictions. And so this is where we got to get from the dogma that they put on us and get to uh, some more of the facts. If you stay in belief, um, they always going to win. But when you start to get to the facts and dealing with what is the truth and the origin, the true origin of things, then you can actually see what's going on. Yeah, a connection between jump between Gypsy Egyptian, the correlation between Rome and what we call Egypt today. Okay, um, yeah, we know about the Holy Roman Empire, uh, which a lot of them was us that looked like us, and we know that even in those the first couple centuries of the formation of this dogma system, you had a lot of the saints or celestial saints that looked just like us. Saint Maurice is one of them. Um, so you have the Holy Roman Empire. It's basically a transference of empires. They tell you Babylon fell, Rome fell, when it actually didn't. It just took on a new name. The black cube of Saturn, the Cabal, yeah, the cube. Where they talk about the widow coming here, crashing here to Earth. Has to be some truth to it. They keep talking about it and talking around it. And see that, but that's the problem right there. Um, and you say the only way to understand the Bible or other scriptures is to repent for your sins, and you and your forefathers sin and be baptized the correct way, because this is spiritual, just like the Holy Scriptures. Well, this is the dogma coming out, because all these damn sins that the Albions and Europeans are committing, the colonizers, do they have to repent? Because I don't see them repenting of anything. They're waxing worse. And it's only our people that say we have to repent because of something we did, but we see us being murdered and destroyed, and we still saying this stuff. And that's what we got to get out of that. Because if they put, let's just move on, because this is. Was the original Egypt here in America? Uh, well, yeah, it was when it was all connected, and the ancient pharaohs used to come here to Teotihuacan, to the pyramid or step pyramids um, in South America and also in uh, Arizona. And they always would talk about going west to lay in the Valley of the Kings. So yes. What are good books for the youth to learn about themselves, lineage, customs, and culture? Um, yes, you can get the book, The African Blueprint by Dr. Amos Wilson. Matter of fact, I have a couple books here. And I don't know if I showed this before, but these are some books that when I was younger, my mother gave me these books, and I don't even know if she. No, I always tell the story. I don't think she know um, what she did by giving me these books because it opened my consciousness up at a young age. So I was always getting put out of schools and stuff like that because I would always think different. But one of this, and this is something small you can start with, um, with your children. Uh, this is from 1999. I kept it up until. This is by Tom Joyner from the Tom Joyner Morning Show, and he has a little series. And it's called Little Known Black History Facts, and this was one of the first books that I had to constantly do reports on. Okay, I'll hold it up. This is volume one. He has them in volumes, and this was one that really got me. Okay, Prince Hall. Well, when I was looking at Prince Hall and I was, doing a report, I seen him, seen a mural of him at the school, and I'm like, what is he doing in the school? And so I started asking questions about who is he, why is he on the, wall in school, and everybody, uh, oh, get out, you being disruptive. And that was one of the first experiences, like, oh, okay, um, I need to learn for myself because I ain't gonna be learning in school. Then you have this one, A Salute to Historic Blacks in the Arts. This is another one here. Now this isn't by Tom Joyner. Uh, this is actually from Lorraine Hangsbury. Okay, and this is to be honest, I don't know if they still have these in print, but this is volume 8. They have a whole bunch of volumes. Also, this is another one that did it for me. And this is just the beginning of it. Depending on the age of your children here. The Storyteller, a very good book because we spoke and taught in oral tradition. And then, of course, you can get J.A. Rogers' works. Um, uh, you can get, matter of fact, it would be best if you email me because there's certain books that you need for a foundation. But yeah, that's something else because you definitely want to get J.A. Rogers' work. You definitely want to get, um, all of his books. As far as to give you the scholarly resource, you could get Dr. Ben's books for scholarly sources. Um, got a whole list of books. You want to get, trying to see what's a good starter for you. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. Let me grab this one here. Okay. So I got so many books, I don't know where to start for you with, but definitely want to say you can get Return of the Ancient Ones. Give you some background here. The Law Among Nations, and if you want to start with self, you want to start with uh, astrology and astronomy. Okay. because that helps you to know yourself in all aspects, and then from there you can start to get into deeper sciences through that, and then you got your different category of jurisprudence, and then you have math, different books I have for that. As far as history goes, I have a specific collection on that. Um, Let me see. Yeah, I really don't want to. I really would rather give it to you a different way, because some of our work, or the stuff that we need to study, needs to be held sacred. Everybody shouldn't have it before our own people do. Um, okay, you said, what do I think about young Pharaoh? What do you think about him? I know you've been seeing a lot of his actions. What do you think? And again, I shall bring you into Egypt by way of ships, where you shall be sold. I know about Deuteronomy 68. Yes. Okay. No, 28:68. Yes. Um, is that pertaining to Mesoamerica? See, and that's here's the issue again. Uh, Learning how to distinguish between the dogma. Um, am I afraid to speak on him? No, not afraid. I really don't see him as necessary. Uh, if you really pay close attention to uh, what's taking place, you really don't need to speak on. I mean, you clearly see what's going on. Uh, am I related to him? No, but of course we all share the same bloodline. But no, not directly. Okay, yeah, cause I don't want to, cause there's certain books that I just think that it should be in the hands of our people before everybody else. Um, and like for example, what's his name? Albert Einstein is um, accredited for coming up with these theories, when that's not true. He, studied under our ancestors, and they, taught him, and he didn't figure out what he was trying to by the end of his lifetime. And certain equations that you learn in school, algebra expression and things of that nature, you don't think you'll need or use. It's because of the way it's been taught to us. And with them having this information, you see where it's getting to, where we are now as a people. So if we get our hands back on this, maybe we could start building some more pyramids and doing things like that. Because when people tell you to go back to your ancient sciences and do all this and do all that, that's fine, but that ain't showing you nothing. Um, our ancestors wasn't about all this. Go here, go there, go here. It wasn't like that. They said, "What we building? Oh, you need a step pyramid? Let's build it. You need a mound? Let's build it. You need a nation? Let's build it." It wasn't with all of this, talk. See, all right, okay. Robert Williams won't let it go. We love you, brother, but you gotta, see it from a different perspective. You have in Genesis the Lord God repented that he made man. So why was the creator sorry that he made his own creation when it's supposed to be he's supposed to be perfect? Think about this. Think about the just think of the narrative. How would this hold up in court if he was to hear this? I gave birth to my children and I repented. I was sorry that I didn't get an abortion. This is how this stuff would sound in court. And this is how they do out people. They keep us in the dogma. And, this is why we really got to get away from that and start seeing what's going on uh, with other nations. They're not using dogma, they're using uh, national principles to help them get out of this. Thank you, Mother Carol. Thanks for tuning in. The Nephilim, well, that's a part of those books that they took out. So, but again, yeah. You say, so you telling me Noah got 2 bed bugs and 2 roaches and put them on the ark? Oh man, that's a good one. That's a funny one. Yeah, that's a good one. So yeah, so that's the main thing. Getting away from the dogma and really seeing, what's going on. How is it that we still have all these praying systems and you can't pray them off of our people? You can't get you can't get them off of our people. You can't help our people's situation get better. You can't pray us out of this stuff. We're my prayer warriors. Let's stop this global stuff taking place. Now, in a sense, energetically, that type of thing can happen, but not using it the right way. But that's a whole nother conversation. Uh, how do I relearn correctly what I was taught incorrectly and what? Right. So basically, learn the function of how things work, and if you look at, for example, if you order uh, let's say you go to Walmart, right, and you want to buy a bookshelf, you know, you don't just go and start banging and building on the bookshelf. You have to read the manual and see how it's uh, supposed to be conducted, and that's how you're supposed to approach knowledge. The key is to teach you how to know, not that you know everything, but teach you how to know everything if you need it and need to know it. And you get there. The wise one gets his answer by questioning, and when you ask questions, this is how you acquire wisdom. And knowledge is different than wisdom. Knowledge deals with information, but wisdom is applied information. Then you have a gnosis, and a gnosis is the experience with the wisdom and knowledge. And so uh, you always have to question to get to the core, get to the answer. And when you're studying things, don't study, don't, or try to learn through episodic ways of like how they teach us. What year did uh, Christopher Columbus discover America? And then you just learn the year just so you can remember it. When you don't learn why he came here, what was his mission for coming here? What was the consequences of him coming here? How were the people affected? That's called corrective uh, history, where you're teaching correct concepts versus just teaching episodic history. Why do the so-called Jews follow the tradition of the Bible and the Israelites so heavily then? That's a great question. That's because they have no concept of nation. The Ashkenazis follow everybody's stuff. They eat everybody's food. They want to experience everyone's culture because they have none of their own. I remember they're the new ones on the earth, uh, and so when they're new, it's like they have to really learn everything, and then try to apply it for their uh, survival, basically. That's right. How can you discover a place in Nazareth? That's right. Exactly. So they apply everything. Um, they literally are doing this for survival. So they take on everyone's culture, not just, or they take on everything they can that will help them to survive. That's something that our people need to adapt and learn to remaster because uh, they will uh, study, observe, and learn it so that they can add it to their arsenal. If this is a war, our people don't think that this is a war because they made us comfortable. This is a war, and then you're experiencing warfare. So you have biological warfare, technological warfare, nano warfare, chemical warfare. You got all these different methods, but we don't. We have forgotten that, and so one of the main things that they do is add more tools to their war kit. Uh, and we don't. We just look at stuff in black and white. It's either the Bible or hell. It's either black or white, and that's not actually true. Everything they have stolen and used what was once good and turned it into bad. Yeah, and I wouldn't say everything they stole, because remember we give them too much credit if we say they stole. We taught them a lot of stuff too, and that's something that they hide. We actually taught them. How do we in this war jump? How do we in this war? Do you think? How do we win this war? Do you think the people will wake up? What about those who are psychotic, aka out of tune with reality, to where they're extremely unlikely to wake up? Yeah, that's it. Not everybody gonna wake up, and not all at one time. So, yeah, that's gonna be a tough one. But the key is to go is to. I know this sounds cliche-ish, but to go within, and that can be looked at from many different levels. I Moroni ask of you. So now we go into the Book of Mormon. It's oh, it's jumping, man. That's what. Uh, okay, I'm not sure what you mean by that, Robert. I mean, you could say that, but you could say, it is written, none of the wicked shall understand, but it seems like they understand how to rule this world. They understand very well. and it's the we don't understand.
Yeah, we're gonna do one more question and we're gonna close it out.
How do will we defeat all the warfare methods you speak of? I answered that. Go within, and again, you can look at that from science, social, political, all of those different ways of viewing that statement. But that's how you win. And the dogma systems will transfer. So thank everybody for tuning in. Definitely appreciate you all for at least giving the listener ear. That's the beginning. And then the next step is, of course, of uh, putting in the work and applying the action. So uh, definitely grateful, and keep on being vigilant and alert.
Peace, family. Y'all have a good night.
Peace and love.